Everything they think about is stealing. Like recently, we had power blackouts in Kenya. And the first thing they said is, we have worn out equipment. What does that tell you? They want to procure. What is that? Theft. They've already thought of how they'll make money. The Gen Z come out and demonstrate against bad governance, and someone sees an opportunity to steal public funds. They say, unajua hawa Gen Z walitokea wakaharibu mabarabara, wakaharibu public infrastructure, we need to renovate. Then you allocate money for renovation, then you steal public funds. There is just no conscience at all. Everybody who is in government, 90% of the time, they are only thinking about how to steal public funds. My political ideology, number one, is economic emancipation. That is my first area of focus. I believe the economy that we've created is a bandit economy. It's an economy where politicians have more money than entrepreneurs and artists and sportsmen. And that means that's an unfunctional society. Because what do these politicians create here in Kenya except manufacture poverty? How should they have more money than people actually manufacture goods that we consume every day? The reason they have more money than manufacturers and entrepreneurs is because of theft. And my first focus in terms of what this party should be looking at ni kumaliza ufisadi kabisa. Because the only thing that this government does so well and that occupies their mind 90% of the time, it is theft, how they will steal public funds. And most of the problems that we have here in Kenya, there's a result of corruption. Because we have a teacher service commission that is not functional because of corruption. You have a cabinet secretary and an MP having TSC letters in a funeral. We have police who are completely inept and dysfunctional because of corruption. We have a broken down healthcare sector because of corruption. We invest money in it to buy equipment. The equipment is the money for the equipment is stolen. Sometimes we get equipment that is not functional, that is out of order. Sometimes drugs are taken and put in private chemists. So that has broken down our healthcare sector. We have an unfunctional education sector, one, because of incompetence, and secondly, because of corruption. People are only thinking about how they will make money. So nobody is thinking logically, how will we sort out this sector? What will we do about this education? What will we do about healthcare? What will we do about transport? What will we do about agriculture? They only think about theft. In fact, if they come up with a program, it's a program that will help them steal. The first motive is not how will we help the people of Kenya, do better economically. It is just about theft. So my first political ideology is, can we please emancipate the people of Kenya economically? And can we end corruption and wastage of public funds? Because if we do that, we'll not need even to borrow a shilling from abroad. The money that we will have will be enough to run government completely. We have corruption even in workers of government, where we have ghost workers earning salaries, and the people who own those ghost workers are MPs, are senators. Unapata mbunge ako na ghost worker 100 ndani ya payroll. And that is why it has been very difficult to fight with ghost workers, because you are fighting with the people of influence. Apart from economic emancipation, there is also equitable distribution of resources and equal opportunities. Equal opportunities in the sense that in Kenya here, people are appointed, or rather even employed, on the basis of tribe. You go to the Kenya Pipeline Corporation and you will find almost 60% of all workers are from one tribe, and you're shocked how it actually happened. It is surprising how it happens. And you see, at the end of the day, much as these people are from one community there, the people who've put them there have not put them there because they care about that community. They are putting them there because they want to steal public funds. So you find, yes, you are innocently employed, but you don't know that there is a bigger game to it. Equitable distribution of resources in the sense that I have traveled all over Kenya, and I've been to 20 counties so far. I have seen how some regions are marginalized. You go to Mount Kenya, a place like Nyeri, much as they are complaining that some of their projects have stalled, of which they shouldn't stall because that's theft of public funds that has happened. But if you compare them with a place like Siaya County, you go to a constituency like Ugunja, you only find one tarmac road. They got Nangabaruber Road, which has actually stalled. It's not even ongoing. And you cannot find any other tarmac. Zote ni Maraf Road. Failure. So you wonder, why is this region marginalized as this? To the extent that it has no single tarmac road, but if you go to other constituencies, there is enough tarmac. There is actually no equal distribution of resources. And there is also the issue of opportunities for people to live, work, and grow. You see, in Kenya here, instead of growing businesses, people are killing businesses. Businesses are dying from overtaxation, businesses are dying from the exchange rate of the dollar, businesses are dying from corruption, businesses are dying from all manner of things, including lacking clients, because you can open a business, but the customers don't have the cash flow to buy because the government has squeezed all the money out of the hands of the people. We have a banking sector which does not benefit the people of Kenya because if the bank has 200 billion this year, 170 billion, they have a big client called government that they are giving to. So they are only left with 30 billion for their 50 branches. So this big client called government, if you look deeper, you find that domestic borrowing is a Ponzi scheme, which banks are using to do business with government and make very huge interest. And for that reason, they don't need to do business with the general public. That's why you go to some banks and some branches, you don't even find people there. There's no one. Or you go in there and the branch is in a very sorry state. But if you look at the financials of the bank at the end of the year, there is growth, there is recording of bigger profits. So we have a kind of an economy that has been skewed in such a way that if you are not corrupt or a criminal, there are certain levels of success you cannot get to. So we need to change our economic structure, eradicate corruption, provide equal opportunities, and open up the space for people to invest. And we should not also have this thinking that investors are white. Ati tutaenda huko ngambo tutafute investor wazungu. No, some of the investors are even right here. In fact, I can speak about myself. I am an investor. If I'm empowered, I can. And that is how it should be for most of the investors here in Kenya. First, open opportunities for your people. Kabla ulete wazungu wakuje kuinvest. Can you first emancipate your people? Those that you already have. Kenyans are very hardworking. Why should they go out there to build other countries when they can build this one? Reduce the cost of power. Remove unnecessary taxation. Remove this thing called independent power producers. Allow people to generate power at an affordable price. Open that market to be competitive. Okay? Reform Kenya Power. If you can't reform it, wind it up and let individuals or private companies to provide power so that it is competitive and cheaper. These are things that the government does not want to do. And the reason they don't want to do it is it closes the gaps for stealing. Because everything they think about is stealing. Like recently, we had power blackouts in Kenya. And the first thing they said is, we have worn out equipment. What does that tell you? They want to procure. What is that? Theft. They've already thought of how they'll make money. The Gen Z come out and demonstrate against bad governance, and someone sees an opportunity to steal public funds. They say, unajua wa Gen Z walitokea wakaharibu mabarabara, wakaharibu public infrastructure, we need to renovate. Then you allocate money for renovation. Then you steal public funds. There is just no conscience at all. Everybody who is in government, 90% of the time, they are only thinking about how to steal public funds. Even when they are traveling, they are thinking of how to travel. Wakati wanakimbia hapa kwa hizi highway na hizo wiu sirens, they are actually opening the highways so that they can continue, they can run very quickly and steal public funds. So I need us to do economic transformation. I've taken a lot of time to talk about that point because that is my number one pillar. That's the first thing I am thinking about. The second thing I'm thinking about is civic engagement and participation and transformation. By civic transformation, I mean, let us do everything that we can do to change the minds of Kenyans. Because one thing I've come to realize is that 90% of the Kenyans, they have never even read the constitution. I don't know when you're Twitter space, they've never ever read the constitution. So you wonder, how are you going to know the system of governance that is good for you if you've never read? Wanasema hiyo tumewachia wanasiasa watusomee watuambie. Hiyo tumewachia mawakili. When in actual sense, every single Kenyan should have read the constitution. In fact, badala ya kupeana set books huko high school, the constitution should be a set book in high school that is a compulsory read for every student. That is why the president is able to go to villages, hold the microphone, and lie to Kenyans, and nobody would know he is lying because they've never read the constitution. They don't know what the type of governance they should expect. So we need that civic transformation. We need that civic change in terms of people thinking tribalism or thinking tribally. Because you come from a Kalenjin nation, but you find that, yes, the leaders are Kalenjin. For example, let me give you a live example. Yesterday at midnight, I was at Talanta Hela. Talanta Hela is a sports ministry in Upper Hill. There were players, Kenyan players, sleeping on the floor of the cabinet secretary, of the PS, because they've not been given tickets to go abroad and represent Kenya. And this is Team Kenya going to play in a world championship. Sasa wamelala kwa floor. When you look at the kind of leadership that we have in Kenya, the president is from that community. The cabinet secretary Murkomen is from that community. The PS engineer Peter Tum is from that community. So we have a lineup of 3 people from the same community, but the players who are also sleeping on the floor, some of them are from that community. So now you ask yourself, hii kitu ya mtu wetu inatusaidia nini? Because if the president is a Kikuyu and I'm a Kikuyu, then it should benefit me. But if it doesn't, then we need to awaken the conscience of the public. The other thing we need to awaken, and I've been able to do it successfully with the Vampire Diaries, is for Kenyans to know that they pay tax. Unajua, by the way, Kimuzi, you should know that 90% of Kenyans, they don't believe that they pay tax. That is why they are not paid by money stolen. Wakenya wengi, 90%, hawadhani ati wanalipa tax. Wamama huko villages, wazee, vijana huko kwa villages, they don't believe they pay tax. Wao wanaamini kwamba mimi nafanya kazi ya kupiga matofali, mimi nafanya kazi ya kupanda miwa, mimi nafanya kazi hii, mimi silipangi tax. They don't know that every day they go to the shop, when they buy a kilo of sugar, it is tax. When they buy 50 bob airtime, 10 bob or 15 bob is tax. When they buy mafuta ya kupika, they have paid tax. Kenyans need to know that they are paying tax. Kwa sababu wakijua kwamba wanalipa tax, watakuwa na uchungu sana pesa ikiibiwa. Lakini sasa wametuachia sisi kina Morara and other people ndio tupige kelele, kwa sababu wanaona ni kama sisi ndio tunalipa tax, plus wale wameandikwa kazi formally, plus hizi makampuni kubwa. Every Kenyan needs to know that if you've ever held even 50 bob to go to a shop to buy anything, on that day you paid tax. Ukipata wamama na wazee na vijana wameanza kufikiria kwamba they pay tax, then they will become wiser in terms of how they choose their leaders. The other thing is, most Kenyans are unable to connect with corruption. You know, I'm still on my second point here, civic transformation. Most Kenyans are unable to understand corruption. Wanashindwa kuelewa kabisa hii corruption inawa affect nini. They watch television, wanasikia 6 billion stolen from Ministry of Health. This person has never held a billion. Hajaishika milioni. Hajaishika 500,000. Sasa ukimwambia about 6 billion, they are unable to relate. They think you are talking to someone else when you are actually talking to them. We need to make corruption relatable. And that's what I'm saying with my Vampire Diaries. I was able to make corruption relatable to Kenyans. Because sasa mtu mwenye hakuanga na focus na ufisadi, ninaenda hadi kwao Nyandarua na muonyesha hiyo barabara iko nje ya kwake, hiyo ya Captain Dunyunjeru, Kauruko, kwa Geta, that road. Mtu mwenye hajaifikiria about corruption, naenda huko Siaya, huko karibu Urenga, mahali inaitwa Kathieno, mahali kuna irrigation scheme ya mchele, 480 million. Now it becomes personal, and that is a really good thing. Corruption needs to become personal for the people of Kenya. Then now, if we do civic transformation, we'll be able to get good leaders. Because then again, you need to remember that you can elect a good president and evil MPs. And the evil MPs will impeach the good president through propaganda. Watampiga hivi, wampige waseme, oh, you alifanya hivi. And you know, sometimes people never focus on the truth, they focus on the bad news. When a dog bites a man, it's not news. But when a man bites a dog, it's news. The other thing that we are looking at is environmental preservation. And apart from environmental preservation, we are also looking at minerals. In fact, in our party, we have a whole chapter that talks about minerals and natural resources. And this thing is a work in progress. I don't want to say that the party is fully formed or that our constitution is now perfect. No. Mimi kitu nimefanyia wa Kenya ninawatengenezea skeleton. Kazi ya kuweka nyama ni yenu. Me, I'm just building you a skeleton. Kazi ya kuweka nyama ni yenu. You are the ones to read the document. Once I upload it and put it out to the public, you are the ones to read it and say, hii iko sawa, hii haiko sawa, umesahau kitu fulani, weka. For example, on the issue of mineral resources, if you look at most progressive countries, they've created something that is called the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And what they do with the Sovereign Wealth Fund is 10% of all the taxes, plus all the money that comes from the natural resources. So all monies from natural resources, plus 10% of revenue collected, they put it in an account called the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And then now they start building a wealth fund, where it's not that you're receiving all the money, then spending it. You actually have hazina ya kitaifa, where you are keeping some wealth for generations. So those are some of the things you are thinking about. I'm not able to explain everything in this one space, because then again, I will talk without end. But at least you're getting the point of where my political ideology is heading, or rather where I'm looking.